Time, the middle 1800s. Place, the barren wasteland of a valley in Western America. Subject, death in the desert sun. Name, Jacob Breyfogle. Occupation, prospector. Chance of survival, practically none. Companion on this journey, only one. His occupation, always waiting. His name, death. Hi, I'm Bill Burrud, the program treasure, and the story, well, the story is the search for the lost Breyfogle mine. The setting is the stark beauty of Death Valley. It's a tale of prospecting and gold and the terror of an Indian attack in the dead of night. It concerns one Jacob Breyfogle, a German prospector who left Los Angeles in 1862 after hearing the news of a very exciting silver strike in Austin, Nevada. He and two other companions left for the Nevada area on a journey that later turned out to be a living nightmare. Because as they were camped one night in the very heart of Death Valley, they were attacked by a tribe of desert Indians who immediately killed Breyfogle's two companions. Breyfogle himself managed to escape, staggering across the desert, wounded, terrified at the thought that the Indians would track him down and kill him. Alone in his terror, Breyfogle could think of nothing but escape. He knew that if the Indians caught him, they'd scalp him, leave him to die in the blistering heat of the sun. And so he fought, scratched his way through the rocky gulches, never stopped. Until finally one day he was sure that he'd lost the Indians. In desperation, he stopped to rest, with only one thought burning in his mind: to reach Austin and save his life. His water was running low in the canteen. The desert was generating heat like a giant furnace. He could find no hiding place from the white, hot sun. And so he went on, trying to keep track of time, wondering if he'd ever make it. Below him, waiting for him with the patience of 1,000 years, beckoning to him with the dancing images of its green mirages, lay a giant valley known as death. His journey seemed endless. Down through Immigrant Pass he came, getting weaker, skin baked by the sun, lips parched. But the cracked, dry earth would give him nothing to relieve his blinding misery. On and on, through the devil's cornfield, searching horizon, stung by the blowing sand, and hounded by the enemy above. Everything got heavy. Even his gun became an anchor around his waist. across the endless sand dunes that swallowed him up like the rolling waves of a dead sea. Like a hovering vulture, waited for Jacob Breyfogle in the eerie quiet of the desert wastes. And then it happened, alone, half dead from hunger, thirst, almost delirious from the terrible rays of the sun. Half wanting to die, Jacob Breyfogle made a discovery that most prospectors only dream about. He found gold, a deep vein of yellow ore in the dry sands of Death Valley. And so Jacob Breyfogle, quite by accident, stumbled onto a bonanza. Now, he was able to pick up enough samples of ore to later on prove his discovery when he was found in the broiling sun by a Nevada rancher. A year later, he returned, tried to retrace his steps and find the gold. His attempt was futile. He was killed by hostile Indians. But now, I want you to meet the young man that we sent out in search of the Breyfogle mine, Buddy Noonan. Glad to have you back, Buddy. I see you got a relic from the desert.
Well, it sure is good to be back after living out there in Death Valley.
Buddy, why did you choose this particular story?
Well, as you know, there's a lot of lost treasures and mines out in Death Valley, but the best authenticated one is that of Jacob Breyfogle. And the trail that he took in search of his treasure is very well verified.
Mm-hmm.
The ironic thing is that on his quest for gold, passing back into Death Valley, he passed up some of the richest areas that later brought a lot of gold and silver to the world.
Well, where did you start your search?
Well, we started from the same area that he started from, Los Angeles, and we headed for the Panamint Valley. Here in Panamint Valley, we're following the actual trail that Breyfogle took with his two companions in search of gold.
In other words, Buddy, you're going to actually retrace the very steps that Breyfogle made almost 100 years ago.
Well, these footsteps as close as is known by historians today. The interesting thing to note is that in his search for gold, he passed up some of the richest in gold and silver deposits in the West, like the gold around the now ghost town of Ballarat. When he came through here, there was no town, but at that time there must have been gold that he passed up.
Because later on it became a booming gold town, didn't it,
yes.
Buddy?
Thousands and thousands of dollars in mines in this area. And when we arrive at the old town, we find the only inhabitant, a burro of all things.
Were you able to interview him?
Well, we tried to interview him, but he was a little skeptical of us and wouldn't give out with very much information.
He probably didn't want to reveal the location of his secret gold mine.
Well, undoubtedly, he had some secret, but he wasn't too talkative, so we went on and explored the town alone. Now, Ballarat was a booming western town back just 50 years ago or so, and now it's tumbling into decay, just another ghost town. And you know, while we look at the old town, we have a kind of a feeling that we're being watched, you know, kind of a ghostly feeling in this ghost town. We can't figure it out. And then we find the solution. It's our old friend. And as we leave the once booming camp of Ballarat, I think that perhaps the burro felt a little sad as we left him once again the only inhabitant in town.